Hi, I'm Van Williams with your City 7 NewsNow update. We're here today to talk about the steps the city has taken to reduce millions of dollars in debt. And joining me today is Mark Manning, the city's budget director. Mark, tell me, how much have we reduced our debt load?
In the last 2 years, city debt has actually decreased by about $53 million.
Mark, explain to me how the city funds big projects and manages all that debt.
Well, the city has a long history, as do most municipalities, of using debt to finance large capital improvement projects. For example, Kellogg. The city has been improving Kellogg for the last 20 years with the sales tax that was passed in 1986. But in order to make those improvements faster, we have issued bonds to improve Kellogg, and we will continue to do that. But that's a good thing. We're using debt so that we can make those improvements sooner. Another example is in the water utility. We typically use debt in the water utility so that we can make improvements sooner. An example of that is the aquifer storage recharge project. But we use debt so that we can make all those improvements now so that we can enjoy them for the next 20 or 30 years.
Okay, Mark, I wonder if you can clarify something for me. There have been recent media reports about the city having too much debt to build a new central library. Now we're announcing that we're reducing debt. Does that mean now the city can build a library?
Well, our city debt is repaid from a variety of different sources, and what's important to think about is what source repays that debt and how much debt can that source repay. For example, I mentioned Kellogg earlier. That's repaid by the sales tax. The sales tax is a very reliable income source, and it's easily able to service the debt that we have on Kellogg. The library, for example, would be funded from what we call GO at-large debt, which is funded through property taxes. And based on recent valuations in property and some concerns about our revenue streams there, we're concerned that revenue stream may not support as high level of debt as would be necessary to construct the library.
Okay. What about the future? Is this a trend, a good trend? Are we going to see more debt reduction?
Staff will continue to aggressively reduce debt if we can and keep interest rates as low as possible. That is the function of finance staff. However, total debt is really more a function of what projects or improvements are approved in the future for our community. As I mentioned earlier, the city is going to aggressively begin rebuilding East Kellogg at Webb and in Greenwich. That means that we'll have to issue additional bonds for that, so our debt there will probably go up. We also have water system improvements that need to be accomplished in the near future, and also debt will be used to finance that. But there are also areas in which we would expect our debt to go down, for example. And so overall, I would expect our debt levels to go up, but again, that is funding additional community improvements.
Okay, and lastly, could you talk about the city's philosophy or policy about carrying debt?
The city actually is very conservative in our debt levels. We generally only borrow money for 10 years in most cases, which means we pay our debt off sooner. It also means that we typically get lower interest rates on that debt. The city also uses metrics to measure what our debt levels are, and we try to keep those debt levels within a fairly tight measurement compared to our peer cities.
Mark, thanks for joining us, and thank you for watching the latest City 7 News Now update.